Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about the boys because we have a 5 year plan. That is the name of this particular episode, a 5 year plan. I'm here with Ginger Greek. How you doing, mate?
All good? Let's roll.
Fantastic. Now, before we start talking about the breakdown of this episode, what did you think of this episode in general?
Nipple
That's a chef.
tweakingly good.
That's a
Like
chef kiss
every
again.
scene meant something, and every scene was amazing.
Yeah,
I'll give it
I,
my
I've
out of stars rating later.
Yeah, I thought this episode was absolutely superb as well. I just can't get enough of this show. Last week when we spoke about it, I did say it was my favorite show, and it continues to be my favorite show. Like you mentioned briefly on social media about how the writing is so good. Just when you think the show's going one direction, it ends up going another direction. To its now, don't get me wrong, this can be to its detriment because the last thing you want is to it to be predictable that it seems like it's going one way, then it's going to go another way because you don't want that to be the formulaic thing about this
You
particular
don't
show.
want it
But
to
so
happen
far,
too often. Yeah,
yeah, but so far, like how you see certain things going one way ends up going another way, and I very much appreciate this show for that. This is without doubt the best show on. I can't say it in any other way. Television, even though it's not on TV, it's definitely the best show out there. So
but just to say on
yeah,
that point now, because I know you don't want it happening too often, but the way that it's happened is it makes logical sense. The twist that came, like for me, it was in the back of my mind. Is this obviously we'll get into it later, but is this conversation going to result in this thing happening? And then it happened, and it's just like, oh, they are really going there with this. This is amazing.
well, you were being totally, cast close to your chest there regarding the twist, and I'm thinking to myself, which twist are you talking about? Because there's two or three in this episode for sure.
Mm.
So let's talk about this episode then. So like, the glorious 5 year plan is the name of this episode, and it starts off with Solid Gold, the a show from like the 70s or 80s, where we see Soldier Boy doing some shit rapping, and Mother Milk looks like he's going through some PTSD. I actually thought he was going to crush that chair with his hand, but if he did that, he might as well be a super himself. And then we have Huey confronting Butcher about taking Compound V, and apparently the rest of the boys don't know. And Homelanders on Tucker Carlson, aka Cameron Coleman, explaining to the people explaining about the people in the shadows who are out to get him. Stan meets Victoria to discuss getting back at Homelander for breaking protocol, and Butcher and Frenchie meets the Russian mob lady, also known as Little Nina, to negotiate a trip to Russia. And Butcher kind of uses his sort of British charm, like the charm we tend to like to use when we go abroad. Give it that Britishness to agree to a compromise with the Russian lady because she wants like Frenchie's ex-girlfriend to be killed, and obviously that's not going to happen. So we have a compromise, and we kind of find out what that compromise is later on in this episode. What did you think of all that to start with, Ginger?
Um, my brain drifted off. So, yeah, I mean, it's all good. Like, I got nothing really that kind of stands out. It all makes kind of perfect sense. Was it at the beginning when you said that the head of Vault talks to the woman about?
Yeah, Stan Edgar meets Victoria Newman. He goes to his unannounced. Goes to her house unannounced, like a surprise visit, and basically says, "Look, Homeland is getting a little bit out of control, so we need to rein him in a bit." And this obviously you feel like this because them two have been kind of working together from both sides. You kind of feel that that's what's going to continue happening. But obviously, that doesn't become the case later on.
Yeah, it
Can we
was
continue?
nice to see like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Is this going to send Homelander over the edge? But then, as we find out later, we see another twist. Shadow X145 in the comments says episode isn't even out in most of the world. Lucky you got to see it. Shadow, to be
It'll
fair,
be out
like
now.
obviously I have my brother's Amazon account, but I had to watch the episode by other means because it hadn't hit the UK. And I'm talking like not stupid o'clock. I'm like 9 o'clock in the morning, and the episode hadn't come out in the UK. It didn't come out until like after 12. So yeah, it's rather odd how Amazon released the episodes. I know with Disney, as soon as it hits like I think midnight in the Pacific, they release the episodes worldwide. But I might
Yeah.
be wrong there.
So yeah,
Anyway, sorry, Dan.
because I'm kind of used to like having it like the Disney way, because the moment it hits 8 o'clock in the morning UK time or 7 o'clock in the morning, I expect my shit to be out, you know. But obviously
Yeah.
it runs a bit differently with Amazon, so fair enough. So we have Huey and Annie, also known as Starlight, talking about Homelander's bombshell, because as we remember last week, Homelander basically said that her and Starlight are now an item, so they're home light. And then, lo and behold, speak of the devil, Homelander crashes their chat and he kind of busts Huey's balls. Now, we already know that Homelander's got super hearing. And I always wonder, like, how much of the chat did he catch? You know, did he catch all of it? You know, because if he's got super hearing, then if he just walks in on them, he might have heard you as he was fucking flying to the building miles away. So
Yeah.
it just makes me wonder, but he does bust Huey's balls. I give Huey a lot of credit. He does stand up to Homelander. He's not going to last 5 fucking minutes with him. But nevertheless, that was a cool scene. I like the way Homelander signs his cast as well. It's like, shit, who does that anymore? But yeah, fair enough. That was pretty cool. We have A-Train talking to Ashley about getting a meeting with Blue Hawk. Haven't seen Blue Hawk yet. Is he played by anyone in particular? There's a familiarity with his face, but I can't figure out who it is exactly.
Isn't he another super fast person?
I don't know regarding his superpowers. I don't know what he is. You know, he might be more like a vigilante type. You know, beats people up.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
don't think we've seen him yet.
Anyway, A-Train talks to Ashley about getting a meeting with Blue Hawk, and we then get A-Train doing the mock Pepsi advert, which was hilarious. You know what I mean? Like he like comes in there, hands out, yeah. Have a turbo rush, you know what I mean? That'll calm you down. That's gonna fucking end police violence, won't it? You know what I mean? So,
God, that was a great
yeah.
nod.
Good to see Queen Maeve as well back, by the way. Back in her outfit, and she's training, and she's kind of been basically she's been a bit incognito. Everyone thinks that she's a bit of a drunk and she's drowning in the sorrows, but she's actually been sober for the last 4 months. And she's been training her ass off just so she can get a couple of punches in on Homelander, which is crazy. All that training just to maybe stall him. But that's what she's doing. Her and Starlight have a talk about taking down Homelander. And as I said earlier, Maeve's been sober for months. So the boys are in Russia. And before they get the formula to take down Homelander, Kimiko has to do one more job, and that's for Nina. That's the compromise that was done earlier in the episode. And then Annie, aka Starlight, asks Supersonic to join her in taking down Homelander. What the fuck is Supersonic's powers? Because I don't know. We never got to see it once in this episode.
Never seen it. Does he fly? Does he have a sonic boom type power? We'll never see it.
Well, the Seven are having a meeting. Homelander rips on Sonic with a taco bowl, which was typical Homelander. Yeah, you kind of see that. You know, that's why he had the hots for Stormfront last season, because deep down he is a fucking a bit of a fascist asshole. You know, you see how he treated, was it Blind Spot last season as well? Like the guy was like a daredevil type superhero, and then he makes him deaf as well by clapping his ears.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was fucked, man. That was fucked. Anyway, A-Train asks Homelander to get at Blue Hawk and bench him for targeting black people. Now this is where the Deep intervenes, and he's kind of being relayed this information from his wife, and he basically says that Blue Hawk fans are the same as Homelander fans, and they need more superheroes, not less. Homelander agrees, and then Homelander demands Ashley to find out what's going on with Victoria Newman. And then later on, Deep and A-Train have a fight regarding the meeting earlier. Deep knows shit about A-Train regarding the footage of him on the plane from season 1, which is, I'm kind of surprised that Deep hasn't relayed that back to Homelander yet, but I guess he's keeping that card close to his chest, so to speak. But if he does eventually tell Homelander will probably kill him for not telling him earlier. That's what I'm thinking. So, anyway, nevertheless, Supersonic takes A-Train to one side after the scuffle and tells him of him and Starlight's plan to take down Homelander. So, what do you think of any of that so far I've mentioned?
Yeah, it's really good kind of seeing like when they have their committee together. It's kind of good seeing how the Deep is just completely cut to both Homelander and his wife, and he just doesn't care. The only thing he cares about is just being in the Seven and in the spotlight and having his image repaired and all this kind of stuff. And he just, as long as he can maintain that, he'll just go to any lengths. And so when we get the fight between him and A-Train, you're thinking, oh, wow, A-Train's going to have his own kind of redemption arc because he's going to join them and maybe he does like one final run to save the day kind of thing. But if you know the show, not quite. But yeah, it was all very, very good, very well scripted. Yeah.
Okay. So Butcher tells Mother's Milk he was recruited because he's a natural leader, and if anything happens to Butcher, he can look after the boys. Now, this is like, I mean, Kimiko she's fucking beautiful, man. And when she's wearing that dress, when she's going to do her assassination job, that dress fitted her. Like really showed off everything she's got. I mean, she was just, I love that. I think I've got the hots for her big time. Nevertheless, Kimiko, looking hot for her assassination mission, and this is probably one of the funniest parts of the episode here.
Yes.
She kills them. She goes into this mob boss's house, and he shows her like this array of dildos. He's got like the 7 version in dildos. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I do forget the names of those dildos because there is a spin on them regarding what they're called.
Yeah, I can't remember them, but it was
hilarious. Got erotic sounding names for these dildos. But she then grabs these dildos. And the first dildo she grabs, she stabs the mob boss in the back of the head through his mouth just about before he gets head himself. And then we know we're in for a scene after that. And then she starts fighting off all these fucking henchmen as well, killing them off with dildos. I mean, she's stabbing
very reminiscent of Saints Row.
Yeah. And we get reminded of her superpower as well because she's got Wolverine type superpowers where it comes to healing and stuff like that. And so much so that even when she gets shot in the head by one of the prostitutes or ladies of the night, as somebody once told me, I kind of got, it's funny, I mentioned the word prostitute once and somebody corrected me by saying you shouldn't call them that. They're lady workers or some shit like that. I couldn't believe I got corrected. Sex workers, yeah, something along those lines.
Workers, yeah.
Yeah, but
doesn't matter. You're not saying it from a bad place. That's what people need to always remember.
I totally agree.
If it doesn't come from a negative place, if you don't just say, "Oh, you're a prostitute," you just say, "Oh, well, you happen to be a prostitute." Okay, then it doesn't really matter. People get too hung up.
100% agree. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So but she shoots Kimiko. Kimiko comes back alive after the bullet pops out of her head. Kind of reminds me of X-Men 2. And,
well, she's like kind of based on like Wolverine and X-23 and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, like that girl, she's shitting herself, but you can see Kimiko's come a long way because even though she got popped in the head, she wasn't going to kill those girls. So she's come a long way. So we go back to the press meeting now, and Victoria Newman is about to give a speech to the press. And this is where she turns the table on Stan Edgar. Like, this is like, you talk about the brilliant writing and some of the twists in the episode. This is definitely one of them, because Giancarlo Esposito's characters always seem to have, like, they seem to be like ahead of the game themselves, but this time he wasn't. He got caught off guard, believing that her and Victoria were going to be in cahoots, but no, she turns on him and basically says that Homelander's become a whistleblower. And because he's found corruption regarding Stan Edgar, and this kind of puts Homelander now in charge, maybe of Vought, maybe of the 7 for sure. But what did you think of all of that? I mean, that was just brilliant.
Okay, so if we go with obviously, when Kimiko came out on that dress, it was like, holy shit, fucking hell, she hides that well. And then that whole scene was just fantastic. The gore, the over the top gore. The way she just stabs the guy from the back of the head out, and then when he falls, you just see the hole right through the back of his head. The whole fight scene was great, and yeah, the Wolverine bit where she gets shot, and it's just like, no, I'm not here. I'm not going to hurt you. And then she's confused by it all, and it kind of traumatizes her a little bit. Again, really, really well done for that character. And then we get was this one twist number one? I think this is twist number one in the show, and it was yeah. I didn't see this one coming, but this isn't like the big one that I was like, whoa. But I didn't see this one coming. It was really good. Again, very, very political, very, very well done, very in tune with politics and about saving your own arse and doing anything. Well, in this case, it's more to protect her daughter than anything, because she knows, look, I could be with this guy, I could do what this guy wants, but at the end of the day, the other guy can just come to my house and kill us. And I don't want that. I don't want my daughter getting harmed. So
Yeah, she's hedging her bets.
She hedges her bets and she sides with Homelander, and it's just fantastic.
It also kind of shows to me, like, to a degree, like, there's more to Homelander than just being a very, scary person. He's quite smart. He's quite clever. He's very manipulative, and he played 4D chess against a 4D chess master in Stan Edgar, and he checkmated him big time. So fantastic. So actually uses Homelander's lines on Tucker Carlson, Cameron Coleman, and says she'll punish him by fucking him with a Stars and Stripes strap on. And I did like that for some reason, but it's funny. The guy wants to be punished.
Funny too. Yeah.
Frenchie and Kimiko talk about leaving the boys after they finish their work in Russia. Homelander now meets with Victorian Newman, and he knows that she's the head pop-up by now, and he actually tells Victoria to try and pop his head, but she doesn't. And he also tells her about giving her a file that Stan would have fucked you over anyway, so you did the right thing. And then he gives her a black pouch, which we come across later to find out what's inside it. Huey catches Butcher shooting up Compound V, and he wants some too. And this is like the 24-hour Compound V he's shooting up. But Butcher does sympathize with Huey, but he doesn't give him any Compound V. He kind of tells him, this shit will fuck you up. Even though you think this one might make you strong, it will fuck you up. And we do understand what he's on about later on in this episode. He's not just trying to keep all the good stuff for himself. He is really trying to protect Huey, and we find out why later on. Now, Homelander gloats to Stan, and I'll be honest with you, I really thought Stan was going to be dead here. I don't know about yourself.
Say that again?
Stan Edgar.
Same. Yeah, I thought it was going to
die. I really thought Stan was a dead man here.
Yeah.
Because Homelander's he gloats to Stan, about talking about how he fucked him over. And even with Homelander winning against Stan, and Homelander's berating him, I love the way how Stan still, he kind of came out victorious in their little verbal conflict by saying, you're not a hero, you're just simply a bad product. And that was just like, ooh.
That was beautiful. This also, sorry to interrupt, but this also means then let's see what Stan does next, because clearly he's not done with this whole situation. So it's going to see what he does, because don't forget he has obviously the access to the Compound V as well, and to all the data. So it's going to be interesting if we'll get some kind of like secret laboratory where they're breeding other heroes or whatever, or what he does next. Because people like him, in true political fashion, they just never go away.
Homelander also mentioned, regarding his body temperature, his heart rate, and stuff like that, that he was still very calm and very cool, very collective. So Stan wasn't like trying to pretend not to be intimidated. He was totally calm. It got me thinking that maybe Stan is a super himself. Maybe he's taking Compound V, which is why he's not intimidated by Homelander. Because at the end of the day, like he might need to, like, the only way he can use his wits can only take him so far. If someone like Homelander decides to say "fuck you, Stan," you can say what you want. I'm going to kill you. And Stan might need some Compound V to go against that. But I'm putting money on that. By the way, I think that will be a twist later on, that Stan is a super.
Would not surprise me.
So Victoria Newman, what she was given in the pouch was the original Compound V, the blue version of the formula. It was given to her obviously by Homelander, and she injects it into her daughter, and she's doing this to protect her daughter so nobody can come after her. And then her daughter starts feeling some pain, and you can see like some ridges going up and down her daughter's back. You know, like her daughter's really like this. Once she's given to her daughter, might mutate her, not necessarily give her like powers and stuff like that. We'll see what happens later on. Maybe Homelander's put a bit of spice in that formula. Who knows? So
yeah, you never know.
So we're going to get to the final stretch now.
Good point.
The boys break into the military compound to find the formula that will kill Homelander. They see a vertical container and a furry hamster that looks like it's cosplaying as an 80s rock star. And the Russian security comes in, and we then have a little bit of a shootout. And by this particular time, the container which has the hamster in it breaks, and the hamster comes out. I have to say, I don't know about you, James, but I was absolutely fucking dying in this scene because
I was in hysterics.
Stuff, it floats.
We just went for the eyes. That was just so fucking good.
It just kills the Russian dude.
Oh, it's so funny. But
yeah, go on.
Apparently, in the I only got told this when a friend of mine saw the episode afterwards because he's read the whole comic. I ain't read all of it. Apparently, that hamster. So they have a kind of similar scenario in the comic books, but Huey kills a hero instead, because when he takes like the Compound V, and his first kill is against like not a hero, but like a vigilante group or something like that. And after the guy dies, like it kills him the same way, punches a hole right through him. But after the guy dies, the hamster comes out of his ass. So I was like, that would have been
Mr. Tiddlewinks.
Yeah, that Mr. Tiddlywinks. But obviously, to do that, then you have to create a whole scenario. And but both were funny. But it would have been funny to see that version from the comics come out in live action.
Lemmywinks, by the way.
Lemmywinks, sorry, Lemmywinks.
Yeah.
That's a game.
Yeah. Daniel Vance, welcome to the stream, mate. Yeah, but you just see the hamster float. By the way, just see it like just float up like the way it did. Oh my god, that was so fucking funny. And it's always like these sort of things happen around Frenchie as well. I've noticed that like he's the one who gets mesmerized by all these sort of things as well.
Super Pets confirmed.
Boo, the space hamster from Baldur Gate. I laughed so hard. Yeah, me too. I got an abdominal workout. That one that really done it for me. So the boys now, they're kind of running out of ammo. You know, the guards are kind of overwhelming them a little bit. And because Butch has already taken the 24-hour version of Compound V, he decides to no longer like hide that he's got superpowers from the rest of the boys, and just goes out and starts lasering the whole bunch of guards and breaking their necks and whatever. And you can see like almost like confusion and heartbreak in Mother's Milk. Like he's not happy with what he's seeing, you know. But then we get a moment from Huey as well, and it seems to be teleportation. But you see, only he can teleport, not his clothes or anything else.
Was
only
it teleportation or was it super speed? No, I suppose it was teleportation.
Yeah, because if it was super speed, he would still be able to keep his clothes. But because it's him, his matter is teleporting. His clothes don't come with him. You know what I mean? But he's also got super strength as well, because he's able to punch a hole through that guy's body. And
and his arm's completely repaired as well.
Yeah, exactly. So and he's actually apologizing for killing that guy, which is very Huey-like to a degree, but nevertheless, that was kind of funny. So now with all the guards gone, the boys are able to finish their mission, and they open up the vertical container, and out pops Soldier Boy. And this is like where Captain America meets Winter Soldier combo here. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely.
We saw this coming though,
we kind of saw this coming. I think there's some of these bits were in the trailers, so to speak. And like you can see Mother's Milk, he's kind of like, what the fuck, because
great reaction.
Soldier Boy killed his family. And then he walks out, and he's kind of like he's kind of a bit like Cyborg to a degree. Like his body reacts to a threat, and he sees a threat in Frenchie, who's holding a gun, and Kimiko pushes Frenchie out the way to save him, and then Kimiko takes the blast from Soldier Boy, like Havoc sort of blast comes out of his body,
Yeah, Havoc, like, yeah.
and this blast sends Kimiko flying. But I think this blast is also takes away her powers because she has healing
Well,
powers, and
she can't heal from it. So it's like it's a blast powerful enough. Not so much takes your powers, but it just rips into. It's like the kind of energy that comes out of there. Well, yeah, I suppose it not
because
really those her powers,
because
but she just can't heal from it.
I'm not sure. My money's on taking the powers because I think that's what makes him the secret weapon. Like he's a soup who can take away your powers, a bit like the mutant from X-Men 3. You know,
Yeah,
which he
Leech.
yeah,
It's called in the comics. It's called Leech.
which has been experimented on because Kimiko got shot on the head. If she can survive that, then she can survive like a stomach wound, but she's not healing from it at all, and so
Mm.
um yeah, so like they start taking her away, and it's funny in the way you see Hugh, or not funny, but it's disturbing. Like as they're driving off from that scene, and like Soldier Boy's now gone his merry way. Um, she's dying Kimiko's dying in the back of the car. You know, Mother's Milk and Frenchie trying to help her. Huey's just hanging at the front door like a scrub. You know, how high is a fucking kite. And Butcher's not really giving a fuck too much about Kimiko. He's too busy trying to wonder what the hell's going on regarding Soldier Boy. And you can kind
Yeah,
of see like like the cracks. Well, not even the cracks, like the brokenness of this, like of the boys right here. You know, one of their members is dying, and like a couple of them just don't give a fuck. And that's when we jump to the final scene of the episode where Homelight, they leave a gig and they decide to go to the top of a rooftop where Homelander wants to show Starlight something. And what she shows him is the mutilated corpse of Supersonic. Like I said, the only thing that pissed me off about this was that we'll never know what Supersonic's powers was. But yet he's proper ripped up to pieces and dead. And then we find out that A-Train, of all people, told Homelander everything, and Homelander basically
again.
demands.
Mm.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It kind of shows you that
Yeah,
Adrian's a piece of shit. There's no
yeah,
redemption for him.
yeah.
There's no redemption for. He's a piece
That's
of
what I love
shit.
about it.
Every like
You
even
think
yeah.
you're gonna go down the normal route of, fuck these guys. I need, I'm just gonna go against them.
I'm gonna be a
But
hero
again, it's
now
like,
and all of that sort
no,
of stuff. But no, he just wants to be part of the Seven. He's sucking up to Homelander. You know what I mean? And
just like the
you know,
Deep. No matter
yeah,
what, just be
exactly.
loyal to Homelander.
Even the
Yeah,
stuff he wants to do with the African American community, he's just doing it for ratings and his own personal, admiration from everyone else. So but yeah, but basically Homelander tells Starlight, listen, you do any more schemes, and the next person to die is Huey, and that's it,
yeah.
and that's how the episode ends. And once again, it ends with Starlight in a compromised position, just like it was last week as well. Fantastic,
Fantastic.
fantastic. You
Just,
know,
just Homelander is just the best written character in the world, in anything, film, TV, doesn't matter. Homelander is just phenomenal. And like last season, I had my issues with Boys season 2 because there was a lot of filler and side plots that I just did not care about. But the one thing that's always been a constant since season 1 has always been Homelander. He's just been the bankable star that you just want to watch, and you can't take your eyes off of him. And personally, I root for him. You know what I mean? I don't root for the others. I just root for this maniac because I want to go down that different kind of route. So it's just great. That twist, that twist at the end is just like, just confirms again that A-Train and the Deep are just the same person. They're just a bunch of narcissistic sociopaths that want to be adored and admired just as much as Homelander, and they will go to any lengths to kind of protect that and suck up to their to their leader. And you just know that there's no redemption for any of these people going forward. So if they do
Queen Maeve
eventually
there is.
come up, so
I think Queen Maeve has a redemption, in my opinion.
that's it. Yeah, she's the only one.
You know, and Starlight was already a good person. She was always trying to change the Seven from within. Black Noir, not much from him in this episode, if any. Who else is part of the Seven? I keep forgetting. Is Black Noir?
Well, we had the Deep, we had Black Noir, we had Starlight, Maeve, Supersonic, who's now gone.
Queen Maeve is not part of the Seven, is she?
Is she out? She's out, isn't she?
I have no idea. I can't remember.
No, she's in. She's in because she was in that movie at the beginning as well, and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's still there, but she's just kind of like doing her thing.
Oh, fair enough. So, but like you can see that like the group is fractured. Like Starlight seems to be very lost. I do feel, and I'm gonna call this right now. I do feel Homelander is gonna get killed at the end of this season. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna last. I do think
probably, and then we'll have Soldier Boy as the main bad moving forward.
I think so too, but and at the same time with Soldier Boy is like his power is to stop people with powers. So how do you stop him if he's almost on the same level as Homelander?
This is
probably even harder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this is it, because he's not a nice guy either. So you know, we're not gonna, you know, if he manages to kill off Homelander, then we're gonna move on to this next guy. So
you think Kimiko's dead?
Well, we'll find out. If it's a temporary suppression of powers, no. If it isn't, then possibly dead. Because I mean, you could the writings in the wall when they're saying, "Oh yeah, we'll go to France when all this is over." And just like, all right, one of these guys is gonna die, and yeah. So let's see. I mean, it's a shame to lose Kimiko, but in terms of moving the plot forward, it's really good. If she's dead, but I'll take it either way. You know, if she lives or dies.
I thought Huey was going to break out some healing powers. No, he didn't give a fuck, man. All he was doing was like hanging out the window high as a kite, which is what Butcher warned him about. Like, you know, this is why I don't want you taking this stuff, because this stuff will turn you into a junkie, and he's kind of becoming like that as well. So you can see, like, the boys are definitely like breaking up. I do feel they will get back together again before the season's over. You know, but it's just interesting to see where things are going now. Like Homelander is no longer a puppet. You know, he's calling the shots now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. Can't wait. I literally can't wait for next Friday.
No, I want the writers to not have a better idea of like how people are, because Homelander, he could, you know, you could have video footage of Homelander walking into a school and lasering the fuck out of people. Yeah, he would still get support from his diehard fans, regardless of what atrocious shit he does. So if they come out and they pull out the video of him, like, you know, leaving those people on the aeroplane, his fan would still fucking follow him off a cliff. You know, as we've seen with Donald Trump, as we already seen with Donald Trump. You know, if it doesn't matter what they could, what you know, skeletons they find in your closet, you know, your diehards will stick with you till the fucking very end.
We see it here in this country, mate, with Boris Johnson, let alone Donald Trump. They just sycophantic cucks with no mind of their own will follow anyone who just gives off any vibe of being a strong leader and tells their kind of idiotic ideology. So it's going to be interesting when that footage comes out. It's just going to be like, whatever. And again, it'll be true to. And I think that I think the writers do have their finger on the pulse in terms of American politics, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happens. If we do see that very thing you just said. But I mean, overall, like, I mean, this show just it's such a breath of fresh air. Like Disney, all of Disney's properties now are they're just doing my head in. That they're just their old TV mentality is just now it's just at a point where it's like, okay, I know what I'm going to get from your show. I know every one of your shows has the same format. You have the main star that gets the spotlight taken away by another fucking non-star that's put in there, and the plot's going to weaken out, and the last episode's going to be garbage. Now with Star Wars, it's just like they're talking to children, and it's full of plot holes and moronic decisions and lack of logic in everything that they do. And this is why I always say thank fuck for Netflix and Amazon, because they are just like, you know what, whatever gets eyes to the platform, just go with it, baby. And they give so much artistic license. I think with Netflix, like one of the only recommendations they have for artists is just make sure there's a diverse cast, that you do the diversity thing, which again, in this era, absolutely fine. It's better
I
to
would
go
say
with
with
that.
Amazon too.
Yeah, but what I mean is, I don't know if that's Amazon's requirements, but I know
Policy,
that
yeah.
is Netflix requirements, because we heard it in an interview recently about that they have to do this kind of thing, which it's fair enough, but it doesn't deviate from how good a show is. Like if you look at Umbrella Academy, the comic book, which by the way, the comic book is actually rubbish. But the Umbrella Academy comic book, all the characters are like, just like white kids and all this kind of stuff. Whereas here, you get a mixed mash of diverse people, but you don't care. They're all brilliantly written. It's all brilliantly acted. The show is like, the action is fantastic. The same with the boys, though. Actually, the boys is stuck very close to the cast because obviously the boys themselves were diverse. You had. Uh, um, the
Frenchie's
main guy.
like Middle Eastern French, isn't he? Like he's got that
Yeah.
vibe about him.
Frenchie is like Middle
And
Eastern French
Kimiko's
in
obviously from the
the
Far
comic
East, and
book. Mother's Milk is black.
yeah,
The only change they did really was in the comic book. Huey is actually modeled after Simon Pegg, but
yeah.
obviously Simon Pegg's a lot older now. And instead of being Scottish, he's American, and that's the one change. Which again, that's fine. It's not a problem. It kind of makes sense with like the Seven and all this kind of stuff. So apart from those little tweaks, they just give people complete artistic license, and it should be a blueprint moving forward. Because in the end, when you stagnate, and if Disney just keeps making the same thing over and over again, people just gonna be like, "Well, I'll keep my subscription, but really only going to do it just to watch fucking Simpsons or something like that." So it should be like, everyone should use Disney as a blueprint for how to do trailers, and Disney should blueprint off of Amazon and Netflix on how to move their product forward. They did amazing getting to where they got to, but moving forward now, they need to take more risks. They need to go a bit more balls to the wall, especially on the streaming service. Don't be scared to take risks, and don't keep trying to deviate from what we had in the comic books to whatever crap you try to peddle. Like Moon Knight was a complete change. Although I enjoyed the first 5 episodes a lot, it's still not really the Moon Knight from the comic books, and all this kind of stuff. So that's why and you know what? To be fair, if Disney doesn't do that, it's fine. They can get left behind. I'm more than happy to just watch. Like, we're gonna get a boys universe. They're creating like
Spin-offs for
spin-offs
sure.
that are coming. And you know what? I will much rather invest and engross myself in that universe, because it's far more interesting than whatever crap Disney has in the pipeline. I mean, the Diabolical, the animated series, was fantastic
It was
as
phenomenal.
well. So you know what? Just give me that. Give me like Arcane on Netflix and that world, and I'm more than happy.
Yeah, much better than Star Wars Visions, which was I was really looking
Rubbish.
forward to, because it was made by Japanese animators, and I love good anime and good manga when that shit
Yeah.
comes out. But honestly, every episode was Jedi Sith related, like lightsabers. It was absolutely ridiculous. Whilst The Boys Diabolical, was obviously, it's still going to be based around all the superheroes and stuff, but sometimes it wasn't even based around superheroes we knew. And I love the episode where people had shitty superpowers. Like one guy had tits for
that
a
was
face,
brilliant.
and then one person he moved very slowly, and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. Always making me laugh. This show makes me laugh as well. You got fantastically written characters. You got amazing set pieces as well. And you got twist galore. Like this show keeps you on its toes. And what always worries me is that how long can the show maintain that, because it's very difficult to keep that level of fantasticness for several seasons, so to speak. I do think we might get like 5 seasons out of The Boys. I can't see us
They've
doing
renewed
more than
season
that.
4 because it's
Oh, have
like their
they?
most watched show. Yeah, they've renewed
Yeah.
it. It was announced. It's like the uptick from last season is 27%, and the uptick from season 1 is 217% increase in viewership.
And it's not for kids, which is what
And
makes
it's
it
not
even
for
better.
kids. And
So
the
yeah,
show is going nowhere. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to push it as much as they can. And even if they don't, there is so much potential in this universe with the spin-offs that you can finish this off at 5 seasons and then move on to a world of spin-offs, because I never really say that, yeah, I want to see spin-offs. But in this world, yes, because it's a superhero thing. So you could do completely different creations rather than say, well, this spin-off's just going to follow this character and it's going to be a prequel to this. It's just like, But here, it's a spin-off in a superhero world, which always works, because you want to see different characters in comic books kind of spin off and do their own thing. So this is no different. So I as long as they handle it as well as they are now, it should be. It should. I'll say it could last a good decade before they put the kibosh on it completely. Not the boys itself, but that kind of whole universe and the universe building that they might do around it.
I agree. And it goes to show that you don't need to try and get every person on the planet to be able to watch your product, like what Disney's doing. They want, every demographic, and they want every age group to watch their product. Now some people, like, who are not into gore and stuff, they're not going to watch The Boys. If you're not into nudity and sexual and violence and stuff, you're not going to watch The Boys. And if you're under 18, you're not allowed to watch The Boys. Even though I was watching fucked up shit when I was in single digits. You know what I mean? But
Our
nevertheless,
generation just did. There were
yeah,
no limits.
exactly. So, but nevertheless, so The Boys is really only targeted for certain people, but all those people who it's targeted for are watching this shit because it's fucking fantastic. It is without doubt the best show around at the moment. Nothing on streaming services comes close to this. And I just like the fact that I'm getting something that is for adults. It really is for adults. I'm done with the family entertainment shit. I don't mind it here and there, but I would like more adult oriented stuff. Now I know you weren't a big fan of the Peacemaker. You're in the
No,
minority on that
awful.
one, Ginge. But
I
nevertheless,
know.
it
That's fine.
was for adults. Which is why I did appreciate it. Kids are not watching this shit, even though John Cena is a fucking kiddie favorite. Some of the scenes, like him already, like start bollock naked, shagging that bird in episode 1,
Oh
and
yeah,
shoots
yeah.
his name and
The cat
stuff
fight.
like that, and the way she goes out and stuff like that, and a lot of the carnage is, there's boys level of like gross out violence in the Peacemaker, and the swearing to go as well, and all of that, like C words and F bombs and everything, and that sort of boys type of humor is in that show to a degree. But we need more of that. Okay, obviously you want it a bit more palatable for yourself, but it's good to see that there are a couple of shows like that. But we need more. We need a lot more, because there's not enough.
Yeah,
Everything
just make it like
is bubblegum.
what, like regardless of what I think of the Peacemaker, it's just I can't stand just James Gunn's fucking scripts and dialogues. It exhausts me. 'Cause it's like, oh, there's another fucking joke. Great, but it's more realistic in the sense that those worlds are more violent and more adult oriented, and you have heroes that are narcissistic twats and not fucking humble like fucking Superman and all this kind of shit. It is more palatable. It's more realistic. It's something that is needed because look, HBO. Okay, HBO didn't become because HBO was like the OG of like a spin-off of its own thing where you pay monthly to get it on top of your cable package. And HBO didn't make a huge name for itself by being vanilla. It was always the outsider to say, well, it's a subscription service and it's outside of the rules of the fucking draconian FCC, who on national TV, you couldn't even swear in America. Okay. And HBO was just like, it always set the bar for so many shows. And it culminated in, of course, Game of Thrones, which, if you take away the last 2 seasons, it was a literal cultural phenomenon that only Stranger Things has come close to competing with. And it did it all with blood, violence, phenomenal storytelling, taken off of fantastic books, apparently. And it, like, when I tell you, people that you wouldn't think where I work, because where I worked in when I worked in the care industry, it was, when I say diversity, Disney will be creaming their pants if they walked into our workplace. But every one of these people, from religious Africans to 50-year-old mums to obviously people my age and younger, were watching Game of Thrones, and they were all talking about it. Now, I didn't get into it because I had a good social life at the time, so I couldn't be bothered. But everyone was talking about it, and it was such a great cultural phenomenon. You're not getting that with you're not getting that with Disney's PG shit. Everyone's looking at it like, they're moving on. So you need to evolve beyond trying to be this fake wholesome company, because they're fake, because they're evil like all corporations, and just push the boundaries a bit more. Because my God, when it comes to X-Men, I keep harping on about this. I'm not looking forward to what Disney's going to do with X-Men at all. I'm really not. And if I was going to do X-Men, I would really tie it to the current political situations of this kind of far right hatred towards minority groups and all that, because that's what X-Men is. I very much doubt Disney will tackle that. So yeah,
It'd be
we
weird.
definitely.
It'd be weird
Sorry.
in that universe because they kind of worship people with powers. You know what I mean? So it's
But
gonna
you can
be.
set up. You can,
Yeah.
but you can set up events where one mutant's powers get a little bit out of control, causes another event, kind of like what happened in not Sokoto, what was it Nigeria? Yeah, Lagos, in civil war and
Oh
all
yeah,
this
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And but it happens in a few places, or there's just this general resentment towards mutants, or even the heroes kind of don't trust them because they can't control them and all this. You could do it really, really well. Um, but I don't think they'll tackle that. They'll probably just be like, "Hey, look at me! I'm on TikTok and I can fly and zoom and all this kind of
Well, I
soft
mean,
shot."
like for instance, Ms. Marvel is your stereotypical Disney product in the first place. So I kind of
Yeah,
knew what I was getting with that. It was a kids show with a kid as the main. So it's going to be quite kidified, and if you go into that knowing that, then it's not going to disappoint you. But other shows, in my opinion, like Moon Knight, and even shows with darker themes, we should have darker themes like Obi-Wan. They should be definitely straddling that line more on the side of being a little bit more adult orientated. But Disney can't help themselves, dude.
they can't
Yeah, I
help it.
mean, even, yeah, they can't help
They,
themselves. They have to
yeah, and
Disneyfy their shit.
they always arrogantly proclaim, and Kennedy has said it, and every other cunt that works under has said it. Disney, Star Wars is for kids. That's what George Lucas said. Now, who gives a shit what George Lucas says? George Lucas gave us the prequels which were a fucking abomination as well.
They gave us a
And
prequel where Anakin Skywalker slaughtered a bunch of children. They've had the
yeah,
first film where they did mass genocide of the destruction of Alderaan. You know, what I mean, people's limbs are getting fucking cut off. You know, what I mean, like, there's so much death. You know, we're seeing people getting shot to shit, getting cut into half, and whatever. Like, how much of this is really for kids, and how much of it is just to sell fucking toys? You know, what I
it's
mean,
just toys.
yeah.
It's just a merchandising. It's a merchandising tool, which doesn't surprise me because I mean the head of Disney now, because obviously when Iger left, they put this fucking idiot in, and that's what he was. He was the head of merchandising for Disney parks, and then they kind of merged the divisions together. And I read a fantastic thread in Reddit today because they were talking about how Disney fired a much beloved guy who's working on TV, and they're stating that's probably because he was a threat to the main guy who people don't like, who's running the show now. And it was a fantastic history on the guy that runs the thing. He was running the parks. He was appointed by Iger, and he's just destroyed. Like the parks aren't just what they used to be, and all this kind of stuff. And he was a merch guy. And so Star Wars is nothing but just merch sales. And you see it because the stories aren't good. They're not compelling. Nobody cares. The one adult oriented one we got, which was Rogue One, very much wasn't about the merch. It was just a fucking war film and nothing more.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else is like, here's a BB-8, here's Babu Frick, here's this little fucking thing in Rise of Skywalker on one wheel, here's this little flappy cunt for Leia, here's a fucking little frog cunt for in Mandalorian. It's like, Jesus Christ, and that's all it is. Like, I don't care about Andor that's coming out now. I honestly, I don't care. I'm just gonna wait for it to finish, and then I'm gonna watch it, because Obi-Wan is just shit the bed. But like I said, at least we have the boys, and at least we have all the stuff that Netflix is bringing out as a palate cleanser to Disney shit. And we shouldn't really over rely on an archaic system
I know, but
platform
it's
with
stuff.
TV
It's
mentality.
it's stuff that's been around for like over 40 years. 45 years actually. You do want a return to the well, so to speak, and some of the gloriness of yesteryear without it all being shit, because the majority of it is, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
gonna take a miracle for them to fix it, because I don't even like, people praise like Filoni and Favreau, and I'm like, I can't stand Filoni. I can't stand Filoni because he just, like, I didn't care for Clone Wars. Rebels was all right, but it just keeps harking back to that. And it's just like, these guys are still, the ethos of Disney still bleeds into whoever helms the projects, so it still feels very Disney. You can have fucking Tarantino come in, and it will still end up being like a Disney project. It just doesn't feel like anything other than the ethos that
well,
bleeds into Disney products. It's the same with the MCU now.
the interference from executive producers is like, it's unbelievable. We constantly hear about all these projects having people like Kathleen Kennedy and whoever else, butting
Well,
their
it's mainly
nose in.
her. She fires everyone who disagrees with her because she's a complete bitch. You
Yeah,
know.
and like,
So
and like, you're not giving these guys a chance to make what they want to make, and there's just too much interference. Um, yeah, it's just very unfortunate, like, someone like George Lucas with his prequels, even though a lot of people nostalgically start to appreciate them right now, the reality is because he made it the way he did, and maybe in his particular case a little bit of interference, and sometimes a little bit of interference is worth having, but he made it the way he did, and unfortunately ended up
well,
being a pile of shit. But at least then you can blame those particular
Lucas
filmmakers.
also was concerned about the merch. He just cared about the merch, and you will hear testament from people that worked on the film that his main obsession was make sure you can merchandise anything from any scene. And this is why the prequels are so shit, because he just wrote a basic story and completely changed it, God, on the fly every time, because he was just like, okay, so here that's why the dialogue is abysmal. So he'll just write some basic dialogue, but then you'll have like, and this little ship flies through here, and this character walks through here, and this does this, and then that, and then make sure we can market this and all that. And that's why with Star Wars, unlike a lot of other properties, you see literally every fucking aspect of the films come out as toys, come out as merch, because that's what George Lucas has wanted since day one. This is why when he created Star Wars, he was the one that pushed for the merchandise aspect of it, not Fox. Fox didn't care. They laughed him out the building. So it's like, okay. And he had complete control of the merchandise, and that made Fox seethe with the sequels. But it was genius. But that's been his
He
obsession.
made so much fucking money. Yeah, you're
Oh,
right. That
ridiculous.
definitely, yeah, he made a
Yeah.
ridiculous amount of money. But nowadays, like, I think you might have mentioned this as well. But nowadays, like toys, like I don't see today's children, playing with fucking action figures. They're on fucking tablets. That's how they're passing their time now. They're playing video games and stuff like that. They're not fucking getting two toys and pretending they're fighting each other. You know who buys toys? Adults. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Me. Me.
Exactly,
So
collectors.
the
They're there for
biggest
collectors.
the biggest market for action figures is adult collectors with disposable income. Merchandise, the majority of merchandise is bought by adults. Now, they'll always try and twist the facts and say, no, they do it for kids and all that. But no, the majority now, it's mainly adults. you can put maybe see where the confusion always comes is that they'll put it in, they'll take all the sales as a whole and put it into demographics, whereas it doesn't work like that. So you have to break things down. Star Wars, for example, they know kids aren't buying Star Wars because merch sales have plummeted over the years. It is just an adult collecting market. Same with the Marvel, it's still 50-50. All the movie stuff is mainly bought by children, and all the comic book Marvel Legends stuff is bought by the adults and things like that. But the majority of toys and action figures sold, and there's a huge kind of push for like nostalgia markets. So they're re-releasing classics and all this kind of stuff.
See that
It's
shit
mainly
there?
adults. It's people like me. I'm a huge toy collector, and there's no point in trying. This is why there's just no point trying to gear things towards kids. If you want to gear things towards kids, do TV shows like Miss Marvel, do like cartoons and all this kind of stuff. But your main live action properties, you've got to gear it towards the high teens and adult market, because your merchandise, that's who's going to buy your merch.
Here's my holy trinity behind me, by the way. Iron Man, Thor's hammer, and Captain America's shield.
Lovely.
And I'm in my fucking 40s when I bought that shit. So yeah, because it's people like us, we're collectors.
Up here, this is all. Hang on, these are all gonna fall on me. But
you went out of focus.
Yeah, hang on, it'll come back. Right, come on, focus.
There we go. We're good.
Like classic packaging from the 90s, Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's a nice Reed Richards you got there.
Yeah, it's beautiful, Reed Richards. That's the thing. Oh no, sorry. I'll give you that. But yeah, great Reed Richards, and just quickly show these lines off. Obviously, Sue Storm and Johnny Blaze, and there's more there. There's variants and villains and all this kind of
Johnny
shit.
Storm. Johnny Blaze is the Ghost Rider.
Oh, sorry, yeah. But yeah, if you look up there, you'll see like Jabba the Hutt, Shredder, Rogue, Spider-Man, all this kind of shit. We are the market, people in our age demographic. So there's just no point in like trying to rope the kids in. Kids don't give a shit. They want to play Fortnite. They want to buy skins of these characters in Fortnite.
Yeah, they're part of the digital world now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
It seems like toys is from an adult market is going to be a niche market in the future.
Very niche.
So it's done. And talking about being done, I think we're done as well. So yeah, Boys season 4, season 3, episode 4. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's like the best show on the internet right now.
This episode was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd go with that as well. Absolutely phenomenal. And you mentioned earlier about Chef's Kiss. I give it a Chef's Kiss too. I want more stuff like this. I want more stuff that is meant for me and kids 100%. Can't watch. I love shit like that. And you can, broadcasters know that when you got a hit on your hand and it's adult orientated, it will make just as fucking much money. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you'll be, like The Boys is going to live on for years. It's going to be cult status for sure, and there'll be merchandising for it. I guarantee. You know what I mean? I'm sure
the kids will definitely be watching the show as well.
Exactly, so yeah, for sure. All right then, so Ginger, anything more to say before we sign off?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining me, and to everyone out there who's not subscribed to NerdTube, please subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. We have reviews, we have fan film reactions, even. So lots of that. That's really our niche. YouTube Vance. Trailer reactions and everything else you can think of. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye, and may the Force be with you.